And welcome back to a very special edition of the Unily podcast. I'm Paul Seda. I will be your host as usual, joined once again by the incredible Matthew Boyd, the incomparable Caitlin Oriema, the unique and wonderful Glenn Chambers, the radiant and lovely and brilliant Sanika Gentles, and of course, John Parker, one of my absolute favorite human beings on earth. You've never joined us before, but you joined for this. It's great to see you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, Paul. There's
Excellent.
Nowhere else I'd rather be.
Well, that's good. That's good because we want to feel like we're a special place to be. And you know, if you wanted to be somewhere else, well, the illusion would be gone, and we'd all feel really poorly about ourselves. So thanks for helping us maintain that. Let's talk a little bit about why this is so special today. We are announcing Unite 21. We're back after taking a year off. We had a blast back in 2019. We'll get to that in a moment and what was so fun. But Unite 21 is running September 21st through 23rd this year, 3 days. We're going to be streaming live online from studios in both London and New York. And it's an online immersive experience, right? That's going to push virtual event delivery to the max. TM, trademark. We trademarked that to the max. Of course. We're going to have live interactive.
Hit it to the max, to the max, to the max.
To the max. We're going to have live interactive keynotes, breakouts, roundtables, so it'll be participatory. None of that passive, just sit there and take it while we talk at you. We want you to talk back at us. Hopefully don't shout, or at least not too loud. Because that tends to be unpleasant, but we think you're going to have a blast. And there's no pre-recorded sessions, right? We don't want this to be canned. We want it to be super, super dynamic. One last thing I wanted to mention before I ask you your most wonderful memories of Unite 19 is that this is actually my last podcast. I'm actually leaving Unily. I'm leaving Unily. It's incredibly bittersweet. This has been the most wonderful time of my career and in many ways my life these last 4 years. John Parker said Unily years are like 2.5 normal years, right? So I'm technically in year 10 at Unily by that metric. But I want to say that that's been a really positive thing. And I've had a ton of fun doing these podcasts as well. Don't worry, they're going to keep coming. We actually have some great things lined up, some great ideas. The team that has been with you the whole time is going to continue hosting, so you've got all that good stuff to look forward to. But enough about that. Let's talk about what was so great about Unite 2019. And I'm actually going to start with the man, the myth, the legend, John Parker. Whenever you're a first-time guest of the show, you have to go first.
Oh, okay, right. I'll go with that. I loved it. So I have this memory of Glenn Chambers with, I think, a broken foot. Right. Showing up to Unite, and
nothing keeps me down.
That's right. And it was either a stick or a crutch that I think I kept kicking away from you, and then showing up at the hotel with just that giant digital screen, in New York was super cool. So that was a real wow, we've arrived kind of moment. And I think having been in the business for a few years, seeing that and realizing our name is now in lights, right? Everything's kind of coming together. That was very cool. And then of course, as you probably see behind me, I'm a cheesy military aviation guy. So getting to meet Tom Cruise was honestly incomparable.
Indeed, the real Tom Cruise. Amazing. Good, very good ones. Actually, since Glenn's boot and crutch are such a hot topic, Glenn, what is one of your best memories aside from showing up with a broken foot?
Tom Cruise was amazing. It's just the closest I've ever seen anyone do one of those lookalike things. And actually, when
wait, he was a lookalike?
Sorry to break it to you, but was it day 2? When did he get on the bar? And he did his scene from Cocktail.
I have that all recorded too, actually.
Because of my injury, I was sat right at the bar, and it was just crazy. Everyone loved it. It was fantastic. Yeah, it was really great just to put faces to names and see all the customers we've signed and see them really engaged and focusing on their intranet, but also having fun, which I'm looking forward to again after the year we've had. Right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's time to have a little bit of levity in our lives, because that makes all the difference. Mr. Boyd, what are some of your best memories? You and I had a small conversation about this, and you said I was so nervous about presenting, I didn't have a good time. But come on, something must have been fun.
Yeah, do you know what? Lots of good memories. Actually, I've got a few. One thing I really enjoy actually is the case studies. We did the awards. Do you remember the awards?
I do indeed.
Yep, that was awesome.
So cool, and then even if I tried my absolute hardest, I'd never get to see as many of those case studies as do at Unite. It's just really interesting. I love that aspect of it. So that's probably up there for me in terms of content and what we do.
Well done. Sanika, what stands out in your mind?
I want to say the Genius Bar. I had such a good time at the Genius Bar.
I forgot about the Genius Bar.
Yes, clients coming up, learning from all of those great the use cases that, other clients were sharing. They came to the Genius Bar and was like, how do I do that? Walk me through it. It was great. I really enjoyed the Genius Bar to see how they were just so motivated by all the stories that they're hearing, and they really wanted to take notes and implement it immediately. So it was great.
Very good. Caitlin, what about you? I almost forgot Genius Bar as well.
See? That's because you
and then you
guys
brought
were
it up,
in the
and I
thick
went,
of
let me
it.
lie and act like, oh yeah, Genius Bar, of course.
That's because you were
okay,
on
what about you?
You were on the main stage, Paul, managing the vibe.
More on that in a moment.
I know. I barely saw you, Paul, that week, because you were just you were always being whisked away to
He
the
was
other
always
areas.
backstage into the
Yeah,
area
he
for
was.
Yes.
Mic'd up.
All right, I'll go
with
next, and then
celebrities.
I'll go next, and then Caitlin can go with hers because it'll be funny. So, a couple of key memories. First and foremost, there was a makeshift green room for me.
Yes.
Towards the end, and people kept walking into it like, "Why are you here?" So it wasn't a great green room because I didn't get to relax because I started to lose my voice pretty severely. I was wiped out. The other thing that I really, really, really enjoyed was being part of the production of the whole thing, because we had to get timings right, and we had to, working with the marketing team on what's going to happen next. How does this roll out? How do we want to announce things? How do we want to organize things? I had never worked in production on an event, and I was in the thick of it, and it was an absolute thrill. As busy as I was, it was such an all-consuming and enlightening experience that I hope I get to do it someday again. It was so much fun. Third thing, and then I'll give you the last one. I'll be a little bit sentimental on that one. Was I remember as the music was coming on. Generally, I don't panic when I speak in public. It doesn't bother me. It's a weird gift I have. Because I think most people think I'm stupid anyway, so I don't think, how could they think I'm any dumber than I already?
These are lies. These are lies.
But I remember as the music was playing, and Chris, who's our producer, may not even remember this. The music was playing, getting ready for me to come out, and my adrenaline started to pump in my body, and I started to get a little bit of the shakes, the wiggles, and I almost started hopping in place and bucking like a bull. And I remember Chris throwing up his forearm into my chest going, hold, calm down. It'll be fine.
Hold yourself back, killer.
Right. Calm down. And again, it was so instinctive. He was just trying to relax me, and I was grateful. And then the last thing was on the last day, my wife and my newborn son showed up, and they saw me speak on stage, and that was a highlight for me because my wife said, "We are both so proud of you." And again, I was a new father. It was super,
awesome.
super
Beautiful.
sweet. Yes, thank
was
you.
Beautiful.
And Caitlin, why don't you try to follow that?
Top
Yeah,
that.
I feel like you did that on purpose a little bit.
It was intentional.
Yeah, mine's a little bit less wild, but I mean, hopefully exciting nonetheless. But definitely the highlight for me was I got to speak on stage with one of my colleagues, and then also with Micron, about all the great things they do in their site, and they are absolutely one of our best champions and power users, and Bill from Micron is just awesome. So that was super fun to get on stage and speak to everybody. And then I was a CSM at the time. I think all of us have had a lot of career evolution since then at Unily, but I was a CSM at the time, so all my clients were there, and getting to touch base with them afterwards and just getting like all this awesome feedback about how much fun they had and how much they got out of it. And then like, you know, it just inspired all these ideas that then we got to work on right after that. So it was really cool, like as a CSM, to work with them as a direct output of Unite. So I'm very excited for this year.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, let's do this. Let's start talking about the agenda. We won't, go line for line. We'll just talk about the highlights because we think there's some very cool stuff. In 2019, we had fitness classes for customers and people who were attending, and we had them go and enjoy them, and the reviews were glowing. People were really into it. They did boxing.
Did anyone on this call go?
Did anyone on this call go? Is the question.
I would have 100% been there.
I was going to say
broken foot.
I was going to say Glenn broke his foot. Glenn broke his foot there
Yeah.
because he thought it was kickboxing.
Yeah,
and it
it
wasn't.
I wanted to go, but I had a thing.
Me too.
There was a thing I had to attend.
I had a thing.
I was
had to
washing my
just-
hair. Yeah.
Yeah, this group is really.
I had a conflict.
don't
I was
know.
there mentally. Mentally, I was like, go everyone but me.
Yeah.
I was there.
Hey,
And if you
to
look
those-
at my
we
picture,
got
let
such
that
good
be a
feedback
warning.
about that too. I was like kind of
Yeah.
embarrassed as a CSM that I wasn't there. I was like, oh, the clients
Yes,
went.
all of
awkward.
the clients were talking about how wonderful it was, and they
I think
enjoyed
I
it
was
so
I was
much.
lining up applauding people coming back to the hotel afterwards.
I believe you were as
Like
well.
the,
I do remember
well,
that distinctly.
that is impressive.
Well, needless to say, it was such a big hit. We didn't want to give it up just because we're not in person, right? This is live. We want to keep it going. So, day one, we have 7 a.m. Eastern Time, New York. If you want to know the time zone you should be paying attention to, I'll talk in New York time, and Matt can correct us and get us back to London time where he'll be. We're doing yoga sculpt, right? So you can kind of start your day, get into the flow with like this high intensity yoga. With Sky Ting, and it'll be live from New York. So join for that if you want to get started, get some energy, get your blood pumping before we jump right into our first keynote speaker. And John Parker, I'm going to ask you to talk about this because you revealed in preparation of this that this is one of your heroes. Mr. Louis Theroux, who will be
Yes.
covering human connection in the digital era, storytelling, video, new media. Tell us why Louis is so special to you.
Yeah, I hope some of you know who he is. I'm sure, but I've watched Louis Theroux for 20 years, maybe longer actually. When he used to be on Michael Moore's TV Nation with I think it was Chuckles the crime-fighting chicken at one point, and he was our Englishman in the US, and he did a series of just sort of snippets around American culture. Very, very interesting, very dry, very amusing. And then he did something called TV Nation, which was exploring the less explored culture of America. And I won't go into too much detail. You should probably go and look at it on YouTube, which is very good. But he's matured into actually a really good, really serious documentary filmmaker, and he's covered some very, very interesting topics around mental health, around rights and the incarceration and prison system in this country. All kinds of different topics that sometimes are a little edgy, but very intelligent, very well done. He's really great, and I'm excited. I'm really excited to meet him. He's a personal hero of mine.
Yeah, and I think for the storytellers in our audience, he's gonna resonate and strike a chord. So you need to join, if for nothing else, just for that. I think there's some really valuable lessons. Well said, John. Later that day, after Louis is done enlightening us and teaching us things, we have Ping Chow, the head of product, people experience platform at Johnson & Johnson. He's going to be talking about innovating enterprise connection, right? And he wants to talk about how J&J is creating the connected workplace of the future, right? With using technology to help them drive some innovation. I worked with those guys. Glenn, you worked with Ping as well. What can you kind of tell us, if anything, about what they're doing?
They're a smart team. They are, obviously they're a very huge enterprise, but right from the start, they did a lot of research and they knew exactly what they wanted, what wasn't working for them. And I think they've absolutely nailed it. And I think that their story is something that everyone's going to take something away from. unique to them, but there's a lot of things that could transfer into other organizations as well. I'm excited. He's a great guy, great speaker. The team's great, so it should be a good session.
I also think, given, what we all went through the last year and how much Johnson & Johnson has contributed to, the getting out of this pandemic, frankly, it's going to be really interesting to hear from them and all, how they use Unily to also support their people during the last year. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, and kind of the front. It's that they've been in frontline news for a number of different reasons, as particularly in the last 3 or 4 months. Be interesting to see how that translated into messaging across the business and how they kind of use that to keep people informed and keep everyone up to date. That'd be a really interesting one, I think.
Yep. So again, you can't leave after Louis done. We have good stuff. And to round out the day, we have a couple of other sessions focused on technology and communications, as well as a roundtable to end that day. And the theme of that day is inspire, right? We want to set you up with some stuff to really inspire you and get ready to do the rest of the stuff. Day 2 arrives. And once again, we want to make sure we're keeping you fit, healthy, happy, energized. We're going to start off with a live session from London of HIT. Matt, since this is you, are you going to be participating? It's interval training, and I know how much you love interval training.
Yes, Paul. Thank you for making me commit on the podcast to exercise.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, everyone was thrilled that you were willing to make the announcement to be on that one for this call. So
we all saw it coming.
You've changed lives. But again, if you're out there, join. Matt will be there. He's totally committed. His compensation that week is tied to that session. So that's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well
Body
done.
is a temple.
It is, yeah. It is a temple.
Again, we have a bunch of really good sessions, tech, comms, roundtables. We also have one interesting keynote that is going to be, industry specific, we think, which, fine, you may not be in the healthcare industry, but you may want to hear this about how there's some commonalities. We have managing a crisis, lessons from the healthcare industry with two separate Unily customers in the healthcare business. We have Aaron Thomas, the CIO at Dynacare, and Dawn Rosenberg, actually 3. Dawn Rosenberg, who's a comm strategist at VCU Health, and finally Paul Sheringham, who's head of comms at St. George's Hospital. And overall, we're going to be kind of touching where better to learn about managing a crisis than to hear from, folks who are in the healthcare field and whose workforce was on the front line of the pandemic. So how did they use the platform to kind of cater to? Have any of you worked with VCU? I worked with Dynacare. That's a spoiler alert.
I have. Yeah. I know Dawn. They are an amazing organization, and actually I'm not going to steal any thunder because I'll be excited to see this, but their approach around wellness, around helping not just their patients and the community that they care for, but their people, their employees, deal with what has been a pretty traumatic experience in the last 12 months in a lot of cases, and the way that they've used that and kind of motivated and truly kind of cared for their people is amazing. It's going to be a great story. I can't speak for the others. I'm sure they're great also, but I certainly know VCU is going to be a really good one.
And Matt's going to chime in.
Well, I was just going to say, don't forget that Dynacare actually are the previous winner of the Nielsen Norman Award.
Good call.
Yes.
Good shout.
Mistaken.
So we
Yes.
have. That's right.
We have an
Great
award-winning intranet
They
coming
do
to the
indeed.
table.
Yeah,
There
absolutely.
you go. So not just any customers, the best customers, although they're all pretty freaking great. But anyway.
Well, actually, now that we're talking about awards, I think a few of our speakers have won some awards this year as well. J&J has as well.
That's right, J&J as well, and more on that in a moment, because those awards are done by analysts who are supposed to be kind of impartial arbiters of that, and I'll talk a little bit about the analyst community shortly. So that day, after Inspire being the theme of day 1, Engage is day 2, where we really want to suck you in and have you talking to one another much more freely and sharing knowledge and just participating at a higher level. We jump into day 3, Deep Dive. dive, where we get into the nitty gritty. The keynote there is Unily the Future, led by our own CEO, Will Saville. He's going to let you know what's on the roadmap, show, our vision for what the future of employee experience is, right? It's not just what we've done up to this point. It's about how we see things going, and employee experiences is on everyone's mind. So I think being able to hear that kind of from the horse's mouth is going to be excellent on day 3. Again, we'll weave some tech stuff, some tech theme sessions, some comm sessions in there, a roundtable as well. And then the final keynote, according to what our schedule says right now, is the future of Intranets, where we're joined by 3 experts who are part of the analyst community. We have Edward Taylor, who's executive director at Digital Workplace Group, Cheryl McKinnon, who's a principal analyst at Forrester, and Susie Robinson, who's the reports consultant at Clearbox, all of whom's reports and studies we participate in and our customers participate in. So we're trying to give you some folks who are truly impartial arbiters the opportunity to speak to you about what they see and what they've noticed in the space. So I am very interested in hearing what they have to say.
Yeah, not sure if I've seen them 3. Normally you see Forrester on their own, right? Or Clearbox on their own.
Yeah.
Not all together.
No.
Yeah.
This is
Will
is
they
literally
agree?
Gonna be, This is going to be gladiators in
Will there be a fight?
Tune in to find out. Yeah.
No, that's exactly what this is. This is putting 3 gladiators who are all-time champions in the arena together and saying, "Have at it!" Right?
With a selection of pool noodles and Nerf guns, right?
Yeah.
That's right. Very, very gentle, types of activities where no one actually gets hurt. Also, forgive that metaphor; it's terrible, but I'm famous for that at this point, so who cares? So that is our agenda. We want to make sure you remember to go on the site, register. That's kind of a big deal, right? Because you can't participate if you don't register. We can't get the invite out to you. So please, please, please do so. It's free. Sign up now. Just go to the Unily.com website. You should see stuff about Unite all over it. Don't hesitate on this. We want to get everyone, their invitation and registered for any of the workout classes as early as possible. So do not miss your chance to join us. All of you, thank you so much, Matt, Sanika, Glenn, John, Caitlin, for joining us. It's been wonderful. You'll all be participating as well, so I am thrilled to be able to witness that when it does in fact happen. And to those of you out there in the universe listening, we'll see you at Unite 21. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Unite 21. See you there.
Hi, I'm Louis Theroux, and I'm excited to tell you that I will be headlining Unily's Employee Experience Conference, Unite 21. Can't wait to see you there and answer your questions.